Hey guys, it's Usafa. Welcome back to another episode of Voices of the Community. Today's guest is someone who has literally grown up alongside Marvel Contest of Champions. From downloading the game at launch, even before he started high school, to finishing university with half a lifetime of MCOC experience underneath his belt, Outline's journey mirrors the evolution of the contest itself. He's been through every phase: casual days, semi competitive stretches, and high level Master War runs with alliances like GOMP and SSX. Along the way, he's built friendships, solved Everest-style challenges, and embraced the puzzle of in-game content. At the same time, he's seen the game shift in ways both inspiring and frustrating, from innovative modes like Eternity of Pain to the overbearing pop-up offers and the staleness of AQ. In this conversation, we'll dig into Outline's story, his views on competition, and his vision for what keeps the contest alive for players who have been here since day one. Ladies and gentlemen, Outline. Hey guys, it's Usafa. Welcome back to another episode of Voices of the Community. This time I have a longtime alliance mate, Outline. Outline, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us how you started playing MCOC?
Yeah, hi, I'm Outline. I've been playing the game pretty much since release. Started back when the game first came out, took a break for a year or so, returned sometime beginning of 2016, but didn't start playing competitively until 2019,
Okay.
at which point I joined P1 Alliance Gomp Poseidon back with the old crew and eventually moved on to higher level alliances, spent a bit of time in Salty, then moved on to SSX and ultimately for Loki. But in between that, I've kind of dabbled in some lower tier stuff as I've been taking breaks for live stuff that's just been going on.
Wow, so you were in Gomvi, you were in SSX, you were in Salty, you were
Yep,
in
yep.
you are in for Loki. Those are some pretty high hitter alliances with a lot of stress and a lot of competitiveness. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So it's definitely I've definitely done some of the higher tier stuff, which I do
Yeah.
absolutely. I absolutely enjoy it. Like when I am on my little breaks and whatnot, I do I do get quite bored very quickly. But
Right.
that's just my competitive nature coming through.
Right. So
Yeah.
you've literally grown up with the game. I mean, you started in high school, and now you're finishing
Yes.
university. What's it like looking back all those
Yeah.
years of you from where you are currently playing to when you started playing in high school?
Yeah, so it's it's quite strange because obviously a lot of other games that I've been playing, they haven't made it this long, or
Yeah.
I've just lost interest in them. But yeah, so obviously when the game came out, which was 2014, I was 11 at the time. Yeah,
Wow.
the
Yep.
maths is correct there.
Yep.
So so now finishing uni at 22, yeah, I've pretty much spent half my life playing this game.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it's been I think a lot of the early days I can't really remember, but I think that's a lot to do with just how young I was.
Yeah.
And obviously growing up, going through high school, going through all the kind of big life stuff as I've been playing the game. So it's been fun to have that going on the side as I've been, just going through life.
Yeah. Do you remember a point in time over the past 11 years where, like, a specific moment where the game just clicked for you and became them more than just a casual pastime?
So I think yeah, I can. So in our UK year eight, I think what will I have been? I'll have been about 13, 14-ish. I can't quite remember.
Okay.
But at the time, I'd recently become quite good friends with this guy who is still my best friend to this day.
Yep.
Because like he'd seen me playing MCOC, and uh, the day that evening, it was the night when Red Hulk and Agent Venom got announced.
Okay.
And I remember coming into school the next day, and we were just both so excited. And obviously looking back now, like they're not in the modern day when you strip away synergy and everything, they're not amazing champs, but we were just
Right.
so excited for them because we'd both grown up, obviously from a young age, reading Marvel comics and watching the movies.
Yeah.
So being able to find a game like this and obviously find someone who had that same, interest in the game, it was really cool. So I think from that point, that's when I started playing the game a lot more seriously. He stopped playing the game quite a long time ago,
Okay.
but That's just that's just because it's just because of the phone he had, and he's never upgraded his phone. I think he finally upgraded from his iPhone like 6, like last year or something.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah,
But yeah,
older phones just I do you remember back in the day when the we had the overheating issue with the older iPhones? Um, yeah, the
so I
this game will
yeah,
not.
sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, this game will not current in its current state will not allow you to play on an iPhone 6 anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not. No, I've always kind of there's a brief period where I had an iPhone, but I had a dad who worked for Microsoft,
Okay.
so it was either Microsoft phones or Samsungs. There was no Apple allowed in the house for
Right.
a very long time. Um, but but yeah, um, that was kind of the point where I started taking the game as kind of I started to view this. I want to play this a lot more on the side of some of the other stuff that I'm doing. But
Yeah.
it obviously, as I kind of mentioned in the intro, it was really in 2019 when it all kicked off.
Yep.
When I got the opportunity to join GOM-P, and I have to the one person that I have to accredit everything since then to. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He passed a couple of years ago, but a guy called One Above All.
Okay.
I'd seen the post on the forum, and I was a little below the prestige minimums
Yeah.
because at that time I didn't quite understand how prestige worked. I thought it was all based off PI and whatnot.
Right.
So I just recently rank 5 Sig 200 Omega Red, who
It's terrible.
historically does not have great. Yeah,
Right.
but he was like, okay, I understand your mistake. You're obviously only a little bit below. Just we'll let you in
Yeah.
and just work on it. So I think I ended up taking up like Hitmonkey or something.
Yeah.
But it's because of him that I was able to access this higher tier,
Yeah.
and subsequently made a lot of really good friends. So such as Andy, who obviously we both have played with
Right.
in the past. I was playing with Andy back in Poseidon, and some other. I played with T Jarvis, Matt Hill, and Maya as well. Some
Okay.
of and Nick, who are obviously still in for Loki SSX. So
Right.
yeah, that was kind of the moment where the game really became a big passion for me.
So
Was when I was able to meet
so
people like that.
so stepping back from when you were first brought into GOMP, which was at the
Yeah,
time a platinum level alliance. I mean, in your experiences, I mean, you were lucky enough to have someone to guide you and bring you in. And I have not been in that.
yeah.
I haven't been in that situation a long time. For years, I've been in For Loki for a long, long time. And then in a previous Masters Alliance before that. Uh, what do you
Hmm.
think the biggest challenges are for new or rising players to experience the levels of platinum and masters level war alliance?
So I think obviously there is still a bit of a difference between now and then.
Yep.
Back then, I remember the kind of the criteria that we had to do for the application. As
Hmm.
part of the process, you had to go and fight. I think it was an Act Six thing,
Yep.
and it was you just had to give it your best shot, try and take him down, and they would kind of review the footage because obviously those sort of skills would then be transferable. Because at the
Right.
time, Thing was still a big prominent pain point defender,
Right.
and I think I used Void for that or something.
Right.
Nowadays, you've obviously got a lot more difficult defenders, and I think for players these days that might be struggling to um, get into these higher tier alliances, I think it will be a lot to do with these big pain point defenders.
Yep.
And there isn't really a unlike that thing um, back in Act Six. There isn't really a way to you know practice, I feel,
Yep.
because it's either you've got war or you've got BGs, neither of which are particularly, I don't think, are particularly good for helping to build skills.
Yep. Well, because they're over so
I think
fast.
it,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So I think anyone who's kind of looking to make that step is don't immediately go from something like really low tier to really high. Just kind of slowly make your way up.
Yep.
Aim for something like a P3 alliance. See how you get on. Kind of a big thing that I would do is I would track your um, takedowns and the deaths associated with that.
Yeah.
Because when you apply to a higher level alliance, you can say, hey, in this past season, I took 50 fights and I died 5 times. And if you can provide evidence with videos, I think that's going to be so much better because then they
Yep.
can review the footage and go, okay, they've obviously got the skills with these champions. We can work around that. So I think kind of the big thing for anyone looking to get into the higher tier is just, don't be disheartened by rejections or being told we'll come back to you at a different time. Just keep working on your skills. Just even if it's playing like difficult story quests, just finding something that you struggle with and just keep on repeating it until you find yourself getting better and just use a variety of champs and that big thing of just track your war kills and deaths.
Yeah.
I'd say that's kind of a big thing.
So, I mean, also, would you think that there's some sort of a investment requirement, a paywall requirement in order to come into one of those higher tier, or do you think a free to play person can make it in?
So I definitely so as someone who was in kind of that free to play slash low spender area at the time when I came into the higher levels, I do definitely think it is possible. Um, you are going to end up paying with time rather
Yeah.
than money,
Yep.
because you will have to, you'll probably have to play a bit more BGs than the average person to get that bit more radiance to use the radiance store, which is a huge, huge help. Um, I think that's, and especially for the costs of some of the stuff in there,
Yeah.
if you can consistently be placing, like even just getting to Gladiator Circuit, doing a match or two, because I've noticed this over the last few seasons. BG numbers seem to be dropping.
Yeah.
Last season,
Definitely.
I think I played like maybe, I think I had maybe like 60 points at the end of the season, and I
Yep.
finished Arcane 3.
Yep.
I haven't done that when I've been trying sometimes. I,
Right.
I, I'm gonna hold my hands up and say I'm not brilliant at BGs.
Yep.
I don't really enjoy the mode, but just getting in there and trying to get just as much radiance as you can, and just making sure that you are finding champions that you like
Yep.
and who can be applicable like across the war map. Um, so things like Onslaught, Photon, stuff like that. Even those who are good outside of tactics, just taking up those champions, I do think there is still a gateway in. It's
Okay.
definitely going to be a bigger challenge. I definitely found this when I was, and still to this day, is I definitely do spend a bit more now, but I don't spend loads. Um, you will find that sometimes you're a bit lacking in some stuff, but you've just got to, bear with it. Just accept that a fight might be that little bit harder, but in the end, it is going to pay off.
Right. So I'm going to ask you this question, and we both have been pretty removed from the this situation that I'm going to pose to you for quite a long time, but I'm still going to ask
Yeah.
you. So for some of those rising players that are coming up through the lower tier Alliance War, Alliance Quest, getting up to the higher tier ones,
Mm.
what resources do you think are most valuable for people to use in order to start progressing up that pyramid?
Yeah. So, um, obviously, the advice that I'm going to give might not be applicable to everyone,
Yeah.
and I probably should have said that a little bit earlier, because as you mentioned, we are a little bit detached.
Yeah.
Um, I think if you are aiming to kind of get yourself a good radiance stash and you're not really wanting to um, focus too much on war just yet, just keep hitting BGs and just try to push a little bit further because the radiance will allow you to buy bigger amounts of like the materials to take up 7 stars to rank 2, 6 stars to rank 5, just stuff like that. And as you're working your way up, just especially if you find yourself in an alliance that isn't really caring about deaths, stock up as much loyalty as you can. Because once you get to the higher tiers where the fights are a lot more high pressure and you have to be healing all the time,
Yeah.
you don't want to be running low on loyalty. I've been in that situation before, and it gets very scary when halfway through the season, you've got 500,000 loyalty left, and you're like, crap, if a few fights go wrong, I'm going to be completely wiped of my loyalty, and
Right.
then it's going to be putting myself and others in a less than ideal situation. So definitely to someone who is wanting to work their way through, I think the best kind of things to save are your radiance, and definitely look at uh, war videos that people in tiers higher than you are playing. See
Yep.
the sort of champs they're using and kind of consider if you like that champion yourself and whether you would take them up, and start putting your, the radiance towards that, because radiance is I haven't done the maths or anything, but it's probably the quickest way to get a champion up these days.
Right. But
So
for
yeah,
but for
def,
people who
def
actually people who are looking to progress and they're a little nervous, they don't
mm,
know who to contact on
yeah,
specific alliances to make it up to those higher tiers. I mean, I would suggest,
mm,
first of all, just go into their alliance page in app, finding who the leader is, and message them. And the worst thing that could
yeah,
happen is they could say no, right? If you feel like you are ready and your account is ready and your skills are ready enough to go up to the next higher tier of Alliance War, Alliance Quest, or what have you, then just reach out and contact them. I mean, the worst case scenario
yeah.
is you get a rejection.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was definitely my experience. Was
Yep.
I'd kind of looked into a couple of platinum level alliances. I'd asked and I got rejections, and it was
Right.
just a case of I mean, even to this day, I feel like some people do forget about it sometimes, especially with the new Discord server and whatnot.
Yep.
The forums are still there.
Yep.
That is how I found my way into the high levels. You will find listings on there. If you dare venture into it, the Reddit sometimes has
That's a black
listings, but
hole,
there's all
right?
these. Yeah, that's like a last resort.
Right.
um, but even just like finding content creators that you like, they typically have Discord servers.
Yep.
I know that obviously, for example, big ones are like the one that our alliance member B McG took over, the Overlook.
Yep.
Vega's obviously got one which he's just put out. There's the official Discord server. Just put in the alliance like recruitment. Just
Yep.
say, look, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm looking for. Can anybody help provide?
Yep.
And more often than not, you will find someone to accommodate you, and then you'll just have that way in. So there's absolutely no harm in asking.
Right. All right, I've got some rapid fire questions for you. These are seriously
Yep.
rapid fire. I don't want you to think too much. All right, I just want you to give me your immediate
Okay.
answer. And
Oh
you know,
God, you're asking someone with crippling ADHD to answer something on the
yeah,
spot.
on the spot. All right, don't think about it too much. All right. All right. So I've got a few of them, and we'll get through them really fast, and then we'll go back to the main part of the interview here. All-time favorite champ.
Yep.
All-time favorite champ to play.
Sim Supreme.
Most overrated champ in the game.
Oh God. Um. Oh, I'm gonna get some hate for this. Kingpin.
Kingpin. All right. All right. Most underrated champ.
I I have to go with my girl Jabari.
Oh man. Bijou's of War. Pick one forever.
War,
Okay.
hands down.
One piece of Everest content that you'd replay just for fun.
Necropolis.
Okay. Okay, that's a good answer. All right. If Kabam gives you power to instantly buff one champ, who gets it?
Taskmaster.
Taskmaster. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. AQ,
Mhm.
scrap it or save it.
Oof. Scrap it.
Scrap it. All right. Best alliance memory you've had so far.
Definitely the first time that I got masters.
Okay. Was that with SSX or with Salty? Who was that with?
That was with SSX. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great feeling. All right, back to the real questions here. You've
Yeah.
said you love puzzle solving, uh, uh, the puzzle solving side of
Yes.
the Everest style content. Which piece of in-game content
Yep.
tested you the most?
Ooh. I'd probably say um, Epoch. So I was actually part of a small team that pulled together the planning sheet,
Okay.
which I'm sure some people will have come across.
Yep.
I helped to organize that because as soon as I saw this thing announced, I knew obviously we knew that there was going to be the rank 4 materials.
Yep.
And I myself wanted to find the quickest and best way to get those,
Yep.
because obviously performing at a higher level, but I wanted to create a resource to help other people.
Yeah.
And because I love that problem solving aspect of it all, I was like, okay, I want to get together a little team to just put out all our ideas so we can make this planning guide.
Yeah.
And yeah, it did well. Like the video on my YouTube page, I think it's I've not checked it in quite some time because I've not been able to upload in a while. But the last time I looked, I think it was headed towards 1,000 views.
Yeah.
So even just knowing that potentially it's helped 1,000 people,
It's a good
that's great.
feeling. Yeah. Was it the boss of Epoch?
Very
Was
much
it
so.
Ares, or was it all of the champs and all of the interactions that interested you?
So it was very much all of it.
Yeah.
So obviously, looking at that piece of content, you've got very set restrictions and some of the hardest fights that we have seen in the game. And obviously, not everybody has the length and depth of roster that those at the top end have.
Yep.
So with the team that I got together, I tried to get kind of a range of people. I got a few people in T1, some like former players like Campo, for example. I know he's played at the upper end, but he's now like semi-retired to lower end.
Yep.
So I wanted to get people who kind of had feet in like all parts of the community to bring together a guide. And I think as we were planning it, we actually had to cut down the number of suggested champions for fights, because we were pulling all this together and we were like, this sheet is far too expansive.
Yeah.
We need to cut it down to just what we feel is the absolute
The
best.
best.
And then if we are using options outside of the box, we'll put a little column to say what we used for each fight.
Yep.
And that worked really well and it was really good fun.
Yep.
And then obviously Ares himself was he was a challenge.
Yeah.
But and I know the opinions of him are very, very varied, but I did enjoy the challenge. There were definitely moments where I did get very annoyed at the fight,
Yeah.
but overall it was a fun challenge.
Yeah. I remember when Ares was introduced to us last year. The when the CCP members went up to Vancouver last
Mm.
November, and the developers of Ares were on the floor and they were demonstrating how to fight against him, and they were also, they're like, this guy is impossible. And it was kind of like, they had never soloed him, and it was like the best that they had done, the developers, the best that they had done is like 3 revives, which still is fantastic. But
Damn.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty
Yeah, I
crazy.
I think I think I was recording a solo and I choked it at 3%.
Yeah.
I was kicking myself,
Right.
but yeah.
BGs has changed how champs are perceived. Everybody should agree to that in this game. When BGs came out, the face
Yep.
and the how people interact with the game have absolutely changed, from prestige to rank up choices to different nodes. Do you think that the what BGs brought to the game was healthy for the game overall or damaging?
So it's actually really funny that this has come up, and I know I say that even though I put it in the little
Right.
background information you gave me. I was having a conversation about this the other day where we were talking about BGs, and the view of it that I have is that BGs both really helped the health of the game
Yeah.
and also really negatively impacted it. For those first few seasons, we were seeing loads and loads of players. Like it was really competitive.
Yeah.
At that time, I was still enjoying it, and I was pushing for Mysterium, and it was a fight to place in Mysterium. It still is these days. But as we alluded to earlier, like there has been numbers dropping. But coming with that was very much the how it changed perceptions of champions. Ultimately, I think for the negative. And I'm going to preface all of this with saying if you like BGs and you want to rank up for BGs, absolutely go for it.
Yeah.
Everyone should enjoy the game how they want to. Personally, it's not for me. And especially as someone who likes a lot of the champions who have to put it politely, been put in a lesser regard because of BGs. Um, it's not a good feeling. So, as I alluded to, like one of my favorite champions is Simsa Supreme,
Right.
someone who, as you know, we assign in war all the time. He
Yep.
is one of the best serpent counters, but because of BGs, he is too slow,
Yep. Yep.
and
Absolutely.
as such, he's been kind of disregarded as a mystic champion. I feel.
Yep.
But he is still an absolute powerhouse, and he's not the only one to do that. Like I remember, this is a memory that I have very, very vividly. When we saw the Vox deep dive, people were saying that Vox had no damage whatsoever.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's ticking for 14k a second,
Right.
and I think that opinion comes from he would take too long to get to that point in a BG's match. He definitely does have metas where he is good,
Yeah.
but because of that takes too long, quote unquote,
Yeah. People.
a very good champion
Yep.
with a wide variety of utility and damage was put down.
Yeah. People are saying the same thing about Maker right now. But Maker, he's in
Yeah,
my BG deck. I love using him. He's
yeah.
absolutely he's fantastic. He's one of the best champions that we have out there.
I know that Jaeger has a lot of content on Maker.
Hmm.
And I saw in Discord server actually earlier on today, he posted a takedown of Gallon in BGs and he
Yeah.
won the round.
Wow.
So, like, and it is definitely that thing of
Yeah.
a champion that takes a little bit longer to get going will always be perceived to some players as not
Yep.
good enough, which isn't always the case.
So if I can summarize your answer, if I can summarize your answer,
Yep.
you believe that it has been both damaging and beneficial to the game, the health of the game. It just
Yep.
it depends on what aspect you're looking at. For some champions, they're no longer
Yeah, yeah,
seen as meta, even though they are used in other modes of the game. But yeah, it definitely has changed. Not so much as incursions. Incursions really didn't change the game that a whole lot. Not battlegrounds absolutely did. Um, as someone
yeah.
who's
Incursion
yeah,
kind of
go ahead.
yeah, was in the spotlight for 6 months. People figured out, oh, these are like, it's Angela and Odin.
Yep,
You don't need anything else.
absolutely,
Move on.
absolutely. So, as someone who's seen every phase of MCOC, what do you believe is the single
Hmm.
best innovation Kabam has made over the years? The single best change to the game?
Ooh. Um, that is a tough one. I definitely think it's the implementation of what I will call middle ground Everest content.
Okay,
So the way I look at it, you have the quote unquote low end Everest content, which I put to be like, the newest act
right,
story content. I know that some people will struggle with the upper ends of this just because they don't quite have the roster for it yet. To me, then there is this upper area where it requires both skill, a large roster, and time investment, something like Necro, for example.
right, yeah,
But then you've got this nice, or Epoch, an even better example.
yep,
But then you've got this nice middle ground with the introduction of the gauntlets,
yeah,
and I think the gauntlets were a fantastic idea because so one of the alliances that I spent quite a lot of time in my times off was Cap Murdoch's alliance,
yep,
and in that alliance there is a wide variety of different players, and it was really good to see that no matter who was doing that content, that everyone could get through it if they were planning out properly. Because that sort of content, there's definitely the skill ask to it, but it is a lot more of a planning challenge. So I know that for one of the more recent ones, Kat set up or one of the other members set up a spreadsheet where people who had run through it could log everyone that they'd used, so then subsequent people could refer back to and see, okay, they used this, I've got this. Do I want to use that anywhere else? No. So I definitely think that introduction of the what I like to call the middle ground end game content
yeah,
or Everest content is
yep,
probably one of the best things they've done because it allows them to access a really good level of reward without necessarily asking too much of a time investment like Necro
yeah.
or Epoch would.
Yeah, one day I hope that they bring back the Summer of Pain or the Autumn of Agony or whatever the hell they call it. Because
Yes. Yes.
I remember every 2 weeks when they popped off, I was glued to the YouTube watching Karate Mike show how to get through,
Yep.
and it was great, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it
no.
didn't take a day to clear. It took a couple hours and trying to
Yep.
understand the nodes, and so
Yep.
hopefully we'll see that again, and hopefully soon because I
Yeah,
agree. I thought that
absolutely.
was great. All right, so I usually do go more into depth about monetization. I don't have a whole lot of monetization questions for you, but I do have one. Um,
No, no, that's fine.
Pop-up
Yep.
offers, harmless monetization,
Yeah.
or sign that the game is just moving too fast.
So for me personally, and this is another conversation that I've been having in Discords recently,
Yep.
has been to do with the monetization. With how I have grown up with gaming, I have not grown up with gaming that does not have DLC or microtransactions.
Yeah.
And that's just because of the time period that we now live in. I think for the most part, um, it's relatively harmless. And the point I'm going to make here is probably it probably won't apply to a lot of people, but I do think there is an audience that it will apply to. The members of the community that potentially have big FOMO on missing out on this sort of stuff
Yep.
and who can't necessarily they're going to have to make cuts in their life to afford these offers because they feel like they need to keep up with everything. And I I myself and I know other people who have had this before where there was very much a time when I first joined Masters where it was like, okay, I need to take as many hours as I can. I need to, spend X amount to keep up, and that's not a good mindset to have.
Yep.
And I think potentially adding these pop up, I don't think it's bad for, like the little, like the unit card or the daily deals as much. Now, obviously, that could spiral into something more, but definitely I noticed it recently with the keys for the not glorious games, whatever the current one that we're in.
Right.
And obviously, that is a larger purchase. And as I said, I don't think this will apply to everyone, but I do feel that it may create a greater sense of FOMO for some players. Because I know myself, I can just tune out the unit store. I can ignore the little icons up there and only go into it as and when I feel I can
Right.
and I want to. But I definitely know that there are some people who have some friends who ultimately quit the game for the better because they were worried about their spending, and that was before I noticed any of these like pop-up offers. So I think for the most part they're relatively harmless, but I do think that potentially there could be, I don't know, maybe an opt-in feature or something,
Oh yeah.
or
Yeah.
essentially,
Right.
or
Yeah.
or something where if it's over, $10 or something, it won't show up as a pop-up.
Right. Have a little option in your settings menu. Yeah. No, that's a good idea. Do
Yeah,
I see that
yeah.
happening? Absolutely not. I mean, Kabam is out there
No,
to make money, and
no,
they want the offers.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. All right, dude. I just have one last question for you, man.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I asked this of all the people I interview. I want Voice of the Community to be a long-standing series. I want to have many more episodes, and I want the
Yep.
people that are interviewed to speak to the community as someone they want to hear from. So in future episodes of Voices of the Community, who would you most like to hear from? And you can give me a name, you can give me a category, free to play, casual spender, whale. It could be a YouTuber, it could be a Kabam employee. Who would you most like to hear from future episodes of Voices of the Community?
I think kind of the two sort of groups that I would love to hear more from are definitely people who are on the less competitive side of the game
Yep.
and how they feel, because I've seen this conversation come up a fair bit recently, how they feel that players in the upper tiers who potentially have a greater sway over Kabam as they may see it, how they actually feel about all that interaction and
Okay.
whether they feel heard or not.
Yeah.
The other one that I would like to see, which is very much probably the opposite of what these people want here, is former or current players who have later become devs
Oh,
and
really?
the whole
Okay.
process of
So,
that.
so we're talking Nah,
Um,
we're talking
Now,
Bitter, we're talking. Okay.
yeah, I think it'd be interesting to hear, especially from some of the conversations I've seen recently.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to for their voices to be heard as to why they wanted to do this,
Right.
and and hopefully for them to convey that they're not just doing it for these higher tier players, they're doing it for everyone, and they want to bring their experience of working through the game
Yeah.
to better the whole community.
Yeah, I definitely think that
Yeah.
when they acquired Karate Mike as the community manager, I think that was one of the smartest moves they could have made. I mean, the guy is personable, he's articulate,
Yep.
he's nice, he's smart, and he's passionate about this game. So absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Very. Yep.
Let's see if I can get Na or Bitter on here, and that'd be fantastic. All right,
Yeah.
dudes. So outline. So that's the end of this interview. I really, really do appreciate you spending your night with me. I know it's late out there in England where you are,
Not a problem.
but I really do appreciate it. For everybody that's viewing this, please, if you wouldn't mind hitting like or subscribe. Video allows me to put more of these videos out in the future. And again, thank you so much for listening. Outline. I'll see you. I'll see you on the war map. And for everybody else, I'll see you guys in the next video.